And hello, welcome to Birmingham New Street station, and we're on the network rail, HST, class 43, call it what you like, and of course most people know it as the Flying Banana. So let's get the train set up. We've got about a couple of minutes left. I think we're due off at 12:10. Now this scenario has been created by Spikey Yorks, and you might remember a couple of the previous videos that I've done that feature his creations. One was the class 47 in Network Southeast livery from London Victoria to Brighton, and that was a good one. And then we did that busy Birmingham with the West Midlands Railway, sort of 7:30, but certainly in those colours, and we called it busy Birmingham, so that was a very popular one. And this is another one. Now his scenarios are available on a Creators Club, and Spikey Yorks goes under the name, if you search for DJ, and the crucial thing is, he always says, is to put the brackets before and after. But this is called Network Rail, or NR, Flying Banana Circular. So it's quite interesting because it says drive the Network Rail Flying Banana as it does a run across the Camp Hill line on Birmingham Cross City, before then running down to Bromsgrove where the scenario ends. And he says, yes, the Camp Hill line does exist and it's drivable in a scenario. So that in itself is quite exciting, because I've never done that. It's only fairly recently that I realised that it was even possible, that it was even a thing. And it turns out that they've actually created quite a bit of, well, I think basically the scenery on there, it just isn't essentially accessible. So you do need a few mods to install this. It's on Creators Club, but you do need some mods to actually get this to work properly. It says the scenario begins at 12 o'clock noon with your train standing at Birmingham New Street. So we slightly moved on from that. I thought perhaps 10 minutes before moving away was a little bit too much. So here we are at 12:10, and we will get moving. So of course, needless to say, it's really slow out of the station. It takes a while to kill off the brakes on the HST. See a Pendolino over there, and Spikey Yorks was just about the first person to include something other than the bog standard stuff that we got on the Birmingham Cross City line. That's what makes his scenarios really good. And of course, since then we had the mod, and I don't know whether it was just a coincidence, but the mod came out fairly quickly, which incorporates a lot of other stock all across the timetable. Now we've got a cross-country HST coming in. That's probably come from Manchester Piccadilly, I would imagine. That's come from sort of the Wolverhampton direction, but we are taking the Cross City line, at least initially anyway. Not sure what exactly is going to happen after university. We've got to stop to pick up a colleague, I think it says. Just actually getting back to the text on this. says your departure time not till 12:10. Well, we've reached that. So after setting up your cab, turning on your headlights, you have a bit of time to explore the station. You'll be calling at University Station to collect a Network Rail colleague. On time arrival here is 12:17:30 seconds. Open your cab door, let your colleague in, depart at 12:18. Now, reading Spikey Yorks' stuff on the forums as well, he has got plans on doing something for the Goblin line, and he's put a couple of reskins up in preparation. So I think pretty soon we're going to have a scenario from him. I'm saying pretty soon. I don't know how long it takes to create these things, so don't want to apply any pressure or suggest it'll be out when it's ready, but that's something I'm really buzzing for. I think he's also quite keen that I do a Tees Valley line scenario, because it's again, I think he said it's something that's incredibly busy, so we'll try and do that at some point. But I'd absolutely encourage you to have a look at some of the stuff he's created. The good thing is, if you link to it on the website, he's got a link to all the liveries from Creators Club that you need. And the Mods on Train Sim Community website that you need as well. So it's very, very easy to install. See the train, that's it. The trouble with trying to get an RT view like that is you invariably end up breaking the speed limit. Picking somebody up for the cab. Now, I can't believe that in reality we'll actually jump in the cab and sit down. It'd be great if he could do that, but I'm pretty sure that's a little bit beyond Train Sim World 5 limitations. Now, as I'm recording this is pretty much the hottest day of the year. And I think we're in the realms of a heat wave. So if you happen to be watching this video several months later, then it might seem a bit odd. But certainly, as I'm recording this, it's hot. So I'm not going to speed up to the 50 because we'll try and make sure we get to this station in round about the right shape. Probably being a tad cautious here, actually. But again, I'm kind of thinking that the running on these things is probably a little bit liberal. Actually, I didn't think, but I could have put a video in of the real life train. I saw this very recently at Wolverhampton Station on my way back home after a recent London trip. Now we've got a 158. It's in an old school. I think that's an ex-Northern East Midlands train livery, if I remember rightly. So we are supposed to be here at 12:17:30. So I don't think we're going to be too far off, hopefully. So we come into university. We're not going to be doing a massive amount of stopping, although I think we have got another bit where we get to see Birmingham New Street again, because it's basically a circular tour. We're not going to be changing ends. Yeah, I think we're just going to have to pretend our colleague has jumped on board at this point. I suppose the point is, for all we know, he might have joined us in the carriage behind or something. Did put me headlights on, I think, didn't I? That's better. We can see the train properly now. So this is the interesting point, because we're about to, or very shortly, we're going to go on a section of line that I think not many people would have known existed in this route on Trainsim World 5. I certainly didn't know it existed. It is essentially the, I think it's used normally as a sort of a avoiding line for Birmingham New Street, although we are actually going to end up going into New Street. See, we've got a 10-mile-an-hour bit coming up, so actually we must put a bit of brakes on here, because I mustn't forget that that was a single yellow. The brakes on this thing do take an enormous amount of time to come off. But I've got to be honest, I mean, to my mind, to include the Camp Hill line and then not make it available seems madness. I mean, I can only assume that there was an intention to make it playable originally, but to put all the scenery in and then to put like a invisible wall blocker on it seems absolutely bizarre. And luckily, I mean, it's the train sim sort of world or train sim community check site that you can get the invisible wall blocker removed. Otherwise, we would essentially be saying this was out of bounds. So I'm getting up to slightly above 10 mile an hour, but the reduction's just after the signal. So once we get beyond the junction, that's the feather indicating we're going left, then we will be able to build back up some speed again. We'll have a look at what this Camp Hill line looks like. The weird thing is, at the moment, I mean, we're heading eventually towards Birmingham New Street platform 11, but the game thinks we're getting farther away from it. But we are, as I say, we're doing like a circular run. So this is new territory. Turning left here. But you might find, I'm not 100% sure, you might find that there are little bits where the scenery is slightly ropey, just on the basis that it's almost a bit of the routes that's not properly finished because it's not supposed to be accessible. But as far as I know, there is trees, bushes and bridges and maybe houses and stuff as well. Oh my word, what have we got here coming through? Wasn't expecting that. Flying Scotsman. That's amazing. That's obviously operating some sort of rail tour. And sometimes that's the beauty of doing a scenario like this, and kind of playing it for the first time as I'm talking about it, because I've literally got no idea what's coming up. As you can see, you've got scenery going on in the background, so this is good stuff. And then in a moment we're going to get 60 mile an hour as well, so we are going to get moving somewhat. Yeah, you can see straight away there's a few bits that not totally polished, but that, I mean, that doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. So just going back to what Spikey Yorks says. Right, I'll get some speed up now. Your next stop is when you're back at Birmingham New Street. On time arrival here is 12:40. And he tells us that we need to approach the platform, roll along to the very end before coming to a halt. Do not stop early, otherwise the scenario will not work as intended. It says you should be overtaken here. When you get your green light at New Street, set off on a non-stop run to Bromsgrove. On time arrival here is 13:05, and he says take it easy, take it steady going down Licky Bank. So a number of creative centre liveries he says are required for this scenario, but as I say, the great thing is you can actually get the link in the forums, and it's absolutely dead easy to download. So it kind of is PC only, but that's just purely because of the extra paths and the fact you need this invisible barrier thing as well. And okay, this bit's obviously yeah, it's a bit unscenery here, isn't it? But as you can see, we're only about 3 miles away from being back at Birmingham New Street now. So this is the bit that needs filling in, really. But we'll forgive that. We won't worry about that. So what exactly is this? Well, it's the NMT, which is the New Measurement Train. So, as we said, it's nicknamed the Flying Banana. It's a specialised train which operates in the United Kingdom to assess the condition of tracks so that engineers can determine where to work. It is a specially converted Intercity 125, consisting of 2 Class 43 power cars and 5 or 6 Mark III carriages. You can check the condition of most main lines and some secondary routes. Oh, there we go. Haha. Like I say, let's just ignore this little bit, because we'll be very quickly back into full scenery for the remainder of the scenario. Yeah, you can check the condition of most lines. Some secondary routes operate on a 4-weekly cycle. This cycle replaced its original 13-week cycle after the introduction of the Plain Line Pattern Recognition (PLPR) design patrolling program. It's okay, we don't feel as though we're part of Birmingham at the moment, but you can see the scenery coming into the reckoning very soon. So, interestingly, it was formed in direct response to concern over gauge corner cracking following the October 2000 Hatfield rail crash. In September 2002, work commenced on preparing ex-Virgin cross-country Class 43 power cars, 43013, 014 and 062, 2 Mark II and 3 Mark III carriages from the Railway Technical Centre fleet. Only 2 carriages carried tested equipment, the extra carriages being required for brake force purposes. The NMT entered service 9th of May 2003. 2 Mark IIs were replaced in 2004 with ex-Virgin cross-country Mark IIIs. In August 2005, a further Mark III joined the fleet, fitted with a pantograph. So yeah, so we've got the scenery coming back in now. We've got our little spell of that little period through the wilderness, and also we kind of need to get the speed down a little bit. It'd be lovely if they could just finish it off, that little section. And I don't know, I presume with this business about you know, the fact that the route's only available in a baked condition, I think, for the editors, it's probably asking too much for it to be done as a an unofficial mod to modify it, I guess. Trying to get the brakes to work properly on this thing, because it just takes so long for them to come off. I presume that is prototypical. So getting back to the history thing, so 2009, 2010, 43, 013, 014 and 062 had their Paxman Valenta engines replaced with MTU engines by Brush Traction. Ex-LNER power cars 43290, 43299 were hired in 2021, while the regular power cars were overhauled. Right, so you can see the catenary coming back into the reckoning now. Yeah, come on DTG, get the scenery finished off for us, and then make this Camp Hill line completely playable. That would be good. We just need a remaster then with the 730 being available in a proper sense of the word, because of course the 323s have gone now on the cross city line. We've got a Pandolino coming in now. So you can see the main part of the cross city line coming in. Do you know, I keep meaning to look into it. I know that junction's got an interesting name, the one that heads off to Aston and then you know, through on the cross city line, but for the life of me I can't remember what it's called. But thinking about it, that's not quite come in yet, has it? That's slightly farther on, I think. Well, that's one of the old Arriva Trains Wales colours on the 158. No, it was right. I was right originally when I said about the junction. You got all the HS2 works going on the right, and again, as I'm recording this, HS2 very much in the news headlines today, because it's kind of confirmed it's still going ahead a bit between London and Birmingham, but it is delayed, and it's not going to. Originally, I think it was going to be out in 2023, but they're now saying it's going to be delayed there, and it's going to be over budget as well. Ah, we're rejoined by the Flying Scotsman again. That's good. Just about make out the side of it. That's the beauty of this being a circular run. Yeah, very creative. Like to see that. Yeah. So he was quite specific about his instructions, saying we need to make sure we get right to the end of the platform. So we're not going to stop in the middle or anything like that. I don't know how we're doing time-wise. 12:40, I think he said, so we're perhaps about right, hopefully. Then we should have a straightforward run then, relatively, I think, to Bromsgrove. We'll finish with that descent down the Licky incline as well. Try and make sure I get the speed about right, because I see a Pendolino pulling out. Again, I think that's probably on a Manchester bound. Well, I don't know, it could actually be Manchester, it could be Liverpool Live Street, or it could be a Glasgow Edinburgh one as well, come to that. I think I'm right in saying the Blackpool ones are very few and far between now. So what have we got? We've got John Armitt on the front. John Armitt on the back, is that right? Would that be right? There we go, there's one of those 7:30 representations. That's on a Longbridge service. So I think we're going to have to wait for that to overtake us before our departure today from Birmingham New Street. It would have made quite a nice thumbnail as well. Something along the lines of these two being side by side. I can remember going back to the early 1980s and being at Birmingham New Street with my father, and we had many a Saturday we'd get the train down from Paint to, well, it was the Painton train from Stoke. Well, there he goes, there's the The delivery looks stunning on this. It's easing itself out of the station because limited to 10 miles an hour. We've got a 350 departing us as well on the far side as well. The one thing about Birmingham New Street, always guaranteed to be extremely busy. I can remember seeing the HSTs in the early 80s. They always seemed to be doing the core routes from Sheffield to Bristol in those days, and we saw those services quite a few times at Birmingham New Street, quite a few times at Derby as well. That was always a favourite kind of train spotting location as well in the early 80s. And if you're lucky enough to be there sort of as the evening came into being, you would have all the mail trains would converge on Derby. So we've got the road, we've got a yellow signal. So I don't know whether we're going to be held up by that 7:30 or not, because clearly that's going to be a stopping service. But it's got a little bit of a headway in front of us, so we'll see. So getting back to the getting back to what this thing's all about. So in the production vehicle, that's the PV, lasers, vertical and horizontal actuators, gyros and accelerometers measure the interaction of the vehicle passing over the track. Outputs from the measuring system include track gauge, alignment, twist and cant. Of course, the cant's that bit when you go around the corner and it looks as though it's slightly tilted even when it's a non-tilted train. Other systems on the roof of the development vehicle DV measure features such as the overhead line height and stagger. On the West Coast main line, particular care has to be taken to ensure that clearances are maintained for the use of tilted trains. The train captures footage from the front and rear power cars. The DV's equipment includes a video-based system utilising image recognition to look for defects such as missing clips. The DV also houses a non-contact overhead line monitoring system which utilises laser to measure the position of the wires in relation to the rails. The train is on. High-powered white lights and cameras also enable the wear of the contact wire to be monitored. The wear is measured as the width of a strip on the underside where the pantograph comes into contact and wear away the cable. The original thickness of the cable is known. This can be converted into a percentage of remaining area. Frankly, we really are into scientific stuff here, aren't we? Which in turn, when related to a maximum allowable wear, can give the estimate of the remaining life. The track recording system's vehicles has banks of screens allowing the team of 3 operators to view a range of system outputs including track faults, train location, radio signal strength. One of the mess cars hosts a system for monitoring and commissioning of Network Rail's GSMR network. As of January 2020, the NMT is allocated to Lorem, UK. Is it Lorem or Lorem? Not sure which. At the Railway Technical Centre, RTC at Derby, where all vehicle maintenance and overhauls are carried out. Maintenance of the recording equipment is also carried out at the RTC. So yeah, very much an interesting unit, and I think whenever you see it, it's well, it's good to see the HSD still being used, and I'm guessing when they stop functioning on the Great Western Railway and the Castle sets and the ScotRail stuff, then this might be the last remaining use of them in regular service. I think we've still got the blue Pullman one as well. The only good news about the journey ahead is that we've only got a section here where it's 2 tracks, and then we do become 4 tracks, so I don't know whether we are going to be held up by that EMU or not. We certainly need to keep an eye on these signals. I know there are 1 or 2 YouTube videos around of from the cab of some of these workings. Just a quick thank you as well for all the new subscribers, and thank you very much for all the loyal and existing subscribers as well for keeping your interest in the channel. This could potentially be a red signal. Is it? Let's have a look. No, it's not. It's single yellow, isn't it? It'd annoy the hell out of me if we got this far and then right at the end of the scenario I went through a red signal. We've got plenty of other really good scenarios as well featuring this network rail measurement train, and there's some good ones on the West Coast Main Line South route as well, particularly with the OTS 2019 timetable, but there's some with the Forks timetable as well. So I'm hoping once we get to 4 tracks, then we might get a clear run, but of course it depends which tracks we're supposed to be monitoring, really. Time's going to tell on that one. Good test of the concentration as well. It's like, was that definitely single yellow, the last signal? Because if that was the case, then, you know, we could be approaching a red. That repeater suggests that we got a red coming up. This looks like a Transport for Wales livery 158. So plenty of variety we've seen on our journey today. We've got a single yellow again. It's been a quiet week on the Dovetail games front because they've said no streams this week. I think there's been an announcement, some sort of rail tour pack, but that's about it. Still no news on the 86 release date from Just Trains or the ATS Manchester commuter route. Trying to not go full steam ahead because we could have a red lurking, although you kind of assume at this slow speed that I think we should be alright. A couple of 66s. Good to see the detail from the cab. Actually, you don't always get to see that when you're driving the 323. You've always got to be extremely cautious because when you've had a single yellow, you could easily have a train that's actually stopped a little bit further ahead of us. So the next signal could be red, even if you're expecting that it won't be. Well, we've got a single yellow again. We moved up to double yellow, so that can give us a little bit of leeway to get some speed up, finally. It's worth getting much faster though at this stage. We are less than 10 miles away from the final destination. Oh, we got a green now. Wow. So maybe, just maybe, we're going to get green all the way. I mean, the 730s are a form of adventure, of course, slightly different than the this kind of reskin of the 710 because they have a corridor connection, don't they? The Camp Hill line, so we've kind of been here before. That's where we turned left and had the Flying Scotsman passing us for the first time. It's kind of quite ironic then that we did the full circle and then we got the Flying Scotsman passing us as we entered Birmingham New Street for a second time. So if you're coming in the other direction, of course, that would be the means of bypassing Birmingham New Street entirely, and I think it's means by which freight trains would normally take. Yeah, so we're literally now on the non-electrified section. I kind of call it slightly cheapskate electrification, because they had no wish when the line was first electrified to make sure that all 4 tracks were electrified. It was only the 2 outside lines. Probably the 7:30. I mean, we'll call it a 7:30 anyway. That was ahead of us leaving Birmingham New Street, so we've finally got clear of that. At the moment, we're still actually going uphill, but you'll very, very shortly see after we get to what's it called? Brain's got, is it Barn Junction or Barn Street? I can't think. But we've got the junction with the line to Redditch. We are flying away now. Well, green, isn't it? Suddenly come to me. Yeah, now we're on the downhill section, and this is kind of one of the most feared banks on British Rail, the Lickey Incline. And you know, even certainly in the 70s, the 80s, maybe even more recently, I don't know, but you had banking locos actually pushing the train up the hill. Not just freight trains either. I think it happened with passenger trains on occasions. You'd have a couple of banking locos specifically there for that reason. But actually we've not quite reached there yet, because we're still uphill. As I say, we haven't got to Bark Green station yet. Yeah, here it is. That was the line to Redditch going off to our left, and that used to be the extreme of the electrification bit as well, but of course Bromsgrove, the line electrified quite a few years back now, so it's got a regular stopping service to there as well. Right, now the downhill bit's commenced, and I think you'll find it's pretty much downhill all the way through to Bromsgrove, only 3 miles away, but it's in terms of railways, this is a dramatic descent. And certainly if you go back to steam days, this was almost feared, I think. You'll see it quite dramatic. You can see, well, you can see there 2.7%, which is almost unheard of. Luckily, you know, operating a HST like this, apart from the fact that the brakes feel as though they had almost stuck on when you apply them, should be, relatively speaking, a doggle. I'm going to take it steady though, as it suggested we should do. It's certainly quite a warm evening as I'm recording this. I think we are in the midst officially of a heat wave after 3 days or whatever it is consecutive weather over a certain temperature. Should have left the cab door open, shouldn't I? We are coming into our destination of Bromsgrove, so I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have enjoyed it, and particularly, well, if you are playing this game on the PC, have a look at Spikey Yorks' creations, and search for DJ with brackets at the start and the end, and have a look on the Train Sim World forum as well, and he's got some good links to how to download the reskins that are needed to run this properly, because it really makes it with all the different coloured liveried trains. And as I say, I'm hoping in the not too distant future we're going to get that busy run on the Goblin line as well. I'm looking forward to that, being able to see a light here. There you go. I'm looking forward to being able to see those D-stop tube trains that I know he's got destined for. That'll certainly make for an excellent run. Well, I hope you've enjoyed it. Just a quick run on the network rail measurement train tonight, and it was good fun being able to drive on the Camp Hill line as well. I know it was a bit of a cheat because there are 1 or 2 places where there aren't any scenery, but the fact is the track's there. Come on, DTG, get the scenery in properly and just finish that little bit off, and just add a little bit more playability for the route, then that would be good to see. And if you could put in a really, well, a proper 7:30 as well. I suppose a lot depends on them resuming relations with West Midlands Railway, really, after that debacle. Of course, LNWR, West Midlands Railway, kind of the same TOC, really. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you haven't done so before, I'd be really grateful if you would consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Keep the support and interest going. I'll be live, and we'll be joined by our fabulous community on Sunday at 5 o'clock. We usually have about 4 hours of train sim driving, so we can have a bit of fun along the way. And until next time, thank you very much. I'm Powerflower Trains and Planes, and it's goodbye.